Good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of the province of Nova Scotia and Emergency Health Services, I'd like to welcome all of you to the EHS Long Service Award ceremony and reception. My name is Jeff Fraser, and I am honored to be your Master of Ceremonies for this event. I'd like to start by acknowledging that we are in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people, and to that end, we are all treaty people. I would also like to take a moment and thank African Nova Scotians for their many contributions to Nova Scotia over the last 400 years. Now, before I get started, I got a few things I just need to walk everybody through. Washrooms. They're located at the back and straight down the hall past the staircase signage in the hallway directly for you. And if you're not sure, send up a flag and I'm sure we can help guide you the way there. This is important though. Emergency exit. How would an emergency guy not address this one? Emergency exit. In the event of an emergency today, the unlikely event of an emergency today, please exit through the doors at my back and follow the instructions of the event staff. And there are doors back here. Photographs. We welcome family members to come up and take as many pictures as you'd like. However, you ask a couple things. If you come up to take pictures, please do not interfere with the official photographer. I understand he is a 5th degree black belt. Just make sure you give him lots of space so he can get his pictures in. And please ensure that when the recipient has left the stage, you leave area to make room for the recipient's, the next recipient's family. So we have lots of space in here, so it should work out, but it's good to cover it off. I'd also like to mention, and very pleased to announce that Lynn Carr joins us today from Charm Diamonds, the supplier for the medals and service bars we're presenting today. Lynn has graciously offered to mount the service bar to your medal ribbon following the ceremony. Please see her at the Charm table at the back of the room during reception. Before we begin our ceremony this afternoon, I would like to draw your attention to the screens for a short presentation and moment of silence in honor of the extraordinary paramedics we have lost since the beginning of the pandemic, and I believe it's the first time that we've been together. So maybe we'll take a moment and let's acknowledge them. That list is too long. Today, we are here to gratefully acknowledge the long service commitments of 63 paramedics to frontline personnel who have given over 1,585 combined years to saving lives and coming to the aid of fellow Nova Scotians in the times of crisis. We are especially honored to celebrate the first in-person ceremony since the pandemic. It is nice to get back together. Since March of 2020, when the first case was reported in Nova Scotia, the paramedics and support team that's in this room have been on the front lines of COVID-19. With increased call demands, public health measures, and protocols, it was not easy. Recipients, you have been providing testing in communities, you have provided support to vaccine clinics, you have helped those that are enrolled in a special patient program with different protocols. You have met the challenge, and we are grateful for the work that you have done. During these times of staffing challenges and personal risk, you have borne it with grace and professionalism, while continuing to provide excellent care to the people of this province during these unprecedented times. While others were to enter lockdown, reduce contacts, and stay at home for safety, you selflessly answer the call each and every day. In recognition of your dedicated service, we are saying thanks to all of you who work within the Emergency Health Services Nova Scotia and system, and Nova Scotians are exceptionally fortunate to have each and every one of you. This afternoon, we will be handing out certificates and gifts to paramedics with 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and even 45 years of service. Just think about that for a sec. 45 years of service. At this point, I would like to introduce the Honorable Colton LeBlanc. Minister LeBlanc holds several cabinet portfolios, including the Public Service Commission and Service Nova Scotia, Internal Services, and like many of us gathered today, Minister LeBlanc is intimately familiar with the paramedicine profession. As a career, he's had a career as a primary care paramedic and further his training to become an advanced care paramedic, and he is a huge advocate for all the paramedics and paramedicine in this problem. Please welcome me in joining Minister LeBlanc.
Good afternoon, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. I'd like to also recognize that we have MLA Claudia Chender, leader of the NDP. Thanks for joining us this afternoon, Claudia. It is a true honor and privilege to join each and every one of you this afternoon for this very special awards ceremony. It comes as no surprise, but I see so many familiar faces around the room. A few that I had the opportunity and privilege to work with a few years ago, not that long ago. And it's sort of a bit of a reunion. I still consider myself very well connected to the paramedic profession and consider, and I also cherish the opportunities I've had to work with such hard-working, dedicated, and compassionate paramedics like yourselves. It's a tough job, both physically and mentally. One that comes with many personal sacrifices, a job that requires a lot of time away from home, away from your loved ones, and I'm happy to see that some of them are here today to celebrate and honor your achievements today. It's also a very rewarding job. Having the opportunity to positively impact and to be called upon to help Nova Scotians every day in their time of need, when they could be having the worst day of their life, is truly humbling. I've had many opportunities to discuss with our Minister of Health and Wellness, Mr. Thompson, discuss various healthcare issues. And both of us who have worked in the sector not only understand, but also appreciate the positive impact and the important role that paramedics play in our province each and every day. We both have a very fond admiration for the work that you and your colleagues do. Unfortunately, Minister Thompson's unable to join us this afternoon after being unable to celebrate for such a long time because of COVID. She was very much looking forward to being here. She has, however, prepared a video message of thanks and congratulations, which will be shown momentarily. So I want to personally congratulate you and express the congratulations from Premier Houston and all of our colleagues across government and on your significant milestones that we're honoring today. And thank you so very much for everything that you do for Nova Scotians every day. So with that, we'll hear from Minister Thompson. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Good afternoon, everyone. I wish I could join you, but it is a great pleasure knowing that you are able to gather in person this year to honor those of you who have made your careers helping others. Paramedics are the face of emergency care in our province. People know you, they recognize you, and when you arrive to the scene of a call, they know help is here. Some of you will remember a time when our emergency health system looked very different than it does today. Some of you may have worked during that period of transition and change. As our emergency health services system evolved to what it has become today, so too did paramedicine. Paramedicine has always been at the forefront of innovation, and paramedics have led that change. Those who came before you set the stage, and those who come after you will benefit from the improvements that you helped put in place. You are highly trained, skilled, and respected healthcare professionals who I am pleased to celebrate. Thank you for the work you do, day in and day out, to help neighbors, friends, and strangers in their time of need. Once again, congratulations.
Thank you, Minister, and thank you, Minister LeBlanc, for those kind words. So without further ado, let's begin the ceremony with our 20-year awards recipients. 20 years ago, I'm happy I can still remember 20 years ago. 2002, let's take a brief walk down memory lane. Okay, so in the world, here's what was happening 20 years ago. Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, dies in the UK. NASA locates signs of ice deposits on Mars. American Idol debuted its first episode, and Kelly Clarkson goes on to become the first to win the title. Wall Street journalist David Pearl is kidnapped and murdered in Pakistan by terrorists, and the first case of SARS is reported in South China. That's in the world. In Canada, Pope John Paul II comes to Canada for World Youth Day. CBC starts a media uproar announcing a salary battle with Ron MacLean to host Saturday Hockey Night in Canada. Alexa Madonna announces her retirement from federal politics. The federal government allows stem cell research using human embryos. And the Walkerton Report is released detailing the cause of the E. coli outbreak in Ontario's water supply. Now here's something that makes me smile. In sports, the Patriots defeat the Rams 2017 to win the Super Bowl. For those of you that know me, I'm a little bit of a Patriots fan, a little bit. Shaquille O'Neal wins his third consecutive NBA Finals MVP award, and the Detroit Red Wings win the Stanley Cup. Can we now please show our appreciation of this year's 20-year recipients with a round of applause? All ready? Great. All right. So the first recipient I'd like to call is Jason Cochran. Karen Kamal.
Nice to see you. Looking great.
Sheena Conrad. Carl DeVoe. Terrence Hocko. Angela Hickox. Amber Humes. Adrian McDonald. Laura Lee McIntosh. We're not at 25 already, but we're ad-libbing.
There we go.
You don't look like you work here 25 years. Jennifer Rose. Bruce Sangster. And Max Taylor. Okay, so that's it for our 20-year recipients today. Laura Lee, I apologize to you for the snafu, but trust me, it's better than a wardrobe malfunction on my part. All right, now we move to the 25-year recipients. That would take us back to 1997, when you may remember some of the things were happening in the world. Princess Diana unfortunately dies in a car crash. Microsoft becomes the world's most valuable company, valued at $261 billion. NASA's Pathfinder lands on Mars, and its rover Sojourner transmits data from July until September. The first Harry Potter book is published in the United Kingdom. Hong Kong returns to Chinese rule, and members of Heaven's Gate cult die in a mass suicide in California. In Canada, CTV News Channel begins broadcasting. Nova Scotia Premier John Savage announces his resignation. The Confederation Bridge opens, and hockey player Connor McDavid is born. In sports, Mike Tyson takes a bite out of Evander Holyfield during the third round of the WBA heavyweight title fight. Tiger Woods becomes the youngest winner of the Masters at age 21 and the first African-American to don the coveted green jacket. and sadly, the Green Bay Packers won the Super Bowl. I will now call the names of the 25-year service recipients. When your name is please called, please step forward and receive your award from Minister LeBlanc. Okay. Albert Poirier. Angie Matheson. And Brian Stockdale. All right, so now we move on to the 30-year recipients. This would take us back to 1992. Uh-oh. You might remember some of the following things happening. This is a test for Minister LeBlanc here at the end. Hurricane Andrew makes landfall in Cape Verde, Florida, causing 65 deaths and $35 billion in damages. South Africans vote to end apartheid and create multiracial government. Euro Disney opens in France. The nicotine patch hits the market, and AT&T released their first video telephone. In Canada, 26 miners unfortunately are killed in the Westray mine disaster. Prime Minister Brian Mulroney signs the North American Free Trade Agreement. Dr. Roberta Bondar becomes the first Canadian woman in space. In sports, this is getting worse. Washington wins the Super Bowl, the Blue Jays win the World Series, and the Chicago Bulls win the NBA finals. What was that? And Minister LeBlanc was born. Remember that. That's important. All right, we'd like to call our recipient that's here today for our 30-year award, Mr. Mark Wheatley. Okay, so we don't have any 35-year award recipients today, so we'll go to the 40-year awards. Today we have the pleasure of presenting the awards for 40 years of service. These paramedics began their first day of work in 1982, when you might remember some of the following and in the world. The first episode of The Late Night Show with David Letterman debuted. The film E.T. hits the big screen. U.S. doctors performed the first implant of the permanent artificial heart. The Ocean Ranger, the world's largest oil rig, sinks in the North Atlantic, and we were all learning the zombie dance when Michael Jackson's Thriller was released at number 20 on the Billboard charts. No demonstrations, please. Queen Elizabeth II and Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau signed the Proclamation of the Constitution of Canada and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. John Buchanan is the Premier of Nova Scotia. The first case of AIDS is reported in Canada, and Dominion Day is named Canada Day. In sports, the San Francisco 49ers win the Super Bowl. Who writes this? I just put the Patriots in every year. The St. Louis Cardinals win the World Series, and the New York Islanders win the Stanley Cup. Now I'd like to call the names of the 40-year service award recipients that are here today. James Curry. and Kevin McMullen.
And contrary to popular opinion, I didn't get that cold artificial heart.
Excellent. 45 years. Wow. 45 years. Let's take a look here. So, 45 years ago, actually today we're going to start this way. We're honored to present the 45 year award service to Thomas McLean. This takes us back to 1977. Tom, I was 6. When you might remember some of the following. John Travolta struts down the silver screen in Saturday Night Fever, and the first Star Wars movie premieres. Elvis Presley dies of a heart attack at age 42. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak incorporate Apple Computers Incorporated. Two Boeing 747s collide in Spain, killing 583 people, and the Atari 2600 video game console is released. Here in Canada, Pierre Trudeau is the Prime Minister of Canada. Queen Elizabeth completes a royal tour to celebrate her Silver Jubilee, including an appearance at an Ottawa CFL game. The roadsides are converted to the metric system, and the first House of Commons session is broadcasted on television. In sports, the Raiders win the Super Bowl, the Yankees win the World Series, and Reggie Jackson becomes known as Mr. October. The Montreal Canadiens swept the Boston Bruins to win the Stanley Cup. Oof. Along with this 45-year service bar, Mr. McLean is being presented with the handcrafted Blue Nose made from stained glass by a Nova Scotia artist. I would like to now call forward Mr. Thomas McLean to receive his award. Let's give a round of applause for this 45-year recipient. Thank you. At this time, I would like to invite Dr. Andrew Travers, the Medical Director for Emergency Health Services Nova Scotia, to the stage to present the Thomas Dobson Award for Innovation in the Field of Paramedicine. Come on up, Andrew.
I'm going to tease Jeff and move the microphone up. Hello, distinguished guests, families, friends, and most importantly, hello to the paramedic professionals we are celebrating today. My name is Andrew Travers, and I have the best job on the planet. I have the good fortune of being the Provincial Medical Director for Emergency Health Services. And I'm truly honored and thrilled to be with you today. When I joined EHS in 2004, I was introduced to a paramedic who, over the course of the next 16 years, would help develop, lead, and implement many of the highly successful programs. This individual has truly altered the course of care for thousands of patients over time. Patients who call 911 with chest pain and receive clot-busting medic treatments for the heart attack in the back of the ambulance en route to hospital. Patients who present at night to rural emergency departments and are treated and kept safely in their community by an on-site paramedic and nurse and online physician. Seniors who experience a fall and have EHS referrals made by paramedic clinicians to the local fall clinic rather than transport to the hospital. Long-term care residents who have paramedic specialists bringing emergency department level care right into their own homes, mitigating the need for transport. And patients being discharged from the hospital who have paramedic specialists following up with diagnostics and therapeutics right in their own home. This paramedic I'm talking about affected all these patients and more, and you can call this paramedic a professional, a leader, a health advocate, a scholar, a collaborator, and even a communicator, but EHS calls him Tom Dobson. Tom was all these things and more. We lost Tom in 2020, but his legacy remains with us, the lives of the people he touched and the people he worked with. We miss him every day. In honor of Tom, EHS introduced the annual Thomas Dobson Award to a paramedic professional as part of the Long Service Award celebrations. This award is intended for a paramedic professional who embodies the same paramedicine expertise as Tom and who positively changes the healthcare and lives of the patients they serve. And there are many, many, many paramedics amongst the various Long Service Award recipients who meet this criteria. And there are many more paramedics in practice today who continually provide exceptional care to patients who need emergent care in incredibly challenging environments. However, one paramedic clearly has been transformative, like Tom, in shaping and improving the healthcare of Nova Scotians. A paramedic whom is a professional, a leader, a health advocate, a scholar, a collaborator, and a communicator. And it is with great honor that EHS would like to award the annual Thomas Dobson Award to Angela Hickox. I'm going to brag about Angela, but I draw your attention to the book that has her bio in it. Angela has been blazing a trail for paramedics for her entire career, which began in 1999, becoming one of the first female paramedics in the Toronto area. As a leader, as a communicator, and a collaborator, she moved through the practice as a frontline paramedic, operations supervisor, and regional support supervisor. As an advanced care paramedic, professional, scholar, and health advocate, she has positively improved the lives of thousands of patients across the province. And as a trailblazer, Angela continues to move the system forward, becoming the first woman regional manager in the Northern Operations Zone, bridging the gaps between the community, EMS, and hospital systems of care. For her entire career, Angela has been committed to fostering a positive, professional, and supportive work environment. And thank you, Angela, for work that you do and the expert that you are. So again, on behalf, with a round of applause, on behalf of EHS, and with thanks from the patients of Nova Scotia, our heartfelt congratulations to Angela Hickox on receiving the Thomas Dobson Award.
First thing I got to do is bring this down a bit, Andrew. Apparently, I'm vertically challenged. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I would like now to introduce our closing speaker for the ceremony, Natalie Borden. Natalie is the Senior Executive Director for EHS, and we'd like to welcome her to the stage.
I'll raise that up a little bit too, Jeff. So it is my absolute pleasure to be here today for the Long Service Awards. On behalf of the Department of Health and Wellness, my team who is here, our honorable members who are here, it is truly an honor to extend our congratulations to everyone who has been honored today. Not just for the years that you have served, but also for the care that you have provided to the people in our community. The profession has undergone many changes over time. If we look back, the earliest recorded ambulance was in 900 AD. So Kevin will ask you about that later on. You can explain to us how it worked. And it was really the first emergency service that came about, the ambulance service. There were the ambulance volante in the 1700s, used by Napoleon during the wartime, that carried the wounded
from the front lines to the hospitals. So there certainly is a long history of paramedicines. We know that in the 1900s, that's when we saw some rapid changes in the practice and the profession of paramedicine. World War II saw the first organized ambulance effort by the medical community and also the first use of aeromedical transport. The Vietnam War in 1963 certainly showed us how the use of field medics, helicopters, and field hospitals dramatically reduced mortality rates for people who were serving. You've all seen many changes in the evolution of paramedics in the time that you have served. I can certainly not even imagine how things have changed. The scope of paramedicine will continue to expand, and I think the one thing that you should all be proud of is that Nova Scotia, the work that you do as paramedics, is more advanced and certainly of the highest quality compared to the other jurisdictions, and it's something I hear on a regular basis. So it's certainly that is due to the dedication and the service and the commitment that you and all of your colleagues show towards paramedicine here in Nova Scotia. You have set the stage very, very well for those who will come after you, your trailblazers, your leaders, and you certainly have provided an excellent commitment to the profession that really has made our emergency health services system something to be very, very proud of. So we thank you for that. It's probably a good idea to hear from as many people as we can about the value that paramedics bring to the system. So I've got a collection of some comments, actually, that we've received over time about paramedics that we get from the public that I thought it was really important to share. The first one was, someone had said, they acted very professionally and left me with the comfort I needed at the time. I felt like I was in such good hands with you. You were so attentive and caring, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. It is just so comforting to be cared for by such kind and devoted individuals like you. A million thanks. Their approach helped to mitigate fear. They were both amazing, and I couldn't have asked for better care. They were so kind and compassionate to my mom, taking care of all her needs. I did not want to leave this unmentioned in this terrible time in our healthcare system. The professionalism of these paramedics was over the top. And thanks again to these awesome individuals for their bedside manner and having some compassion in this world that often doesn't. And lastly, I'll mention, some of you may know Janice Landry, who's certainly a good friend of mine, and in her new book, she made a point of telling me what an impact Jason did make on her when it came to the call that she had to make when her mom was very, very ill. And she was very emotional telling me about that, and I think that experience and those words from other people really speak to the heart of what you do and why we so value the work, the commitment, and the effort you put in every day in serving Nova Scotians. These words, you know what, that's really all there is to say. I would just like to say that on behalf of government, on behalf of my team and all Nova Scotians, thank you very much for your service to this province. Thanks to your families for supporting you, and congratulations on these incredible milestones today. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. This now concludes the ceremony. Thank you, Natalie, for the kind words, and I'd like to thank each of you for coming. I'd also like to acknowledge the EHS team. There's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes to organize an event like this, and they had to pivot quickly because we had a hurricane visit, so I do want to acknowledge and thank the EHS team for all of their work in making this event a success today. We'd like to invite you to stay for a few refreshments, which are available in the room next door to my right. Would also ask the paramedics to stay in the room for group photos. Thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful afternoon. Thanks.